Hi there, everyone. Welcome to The Daily Gardener. I'm your host, Jennifer Ebling. It's July 30th. Have you tried growing castor bean? It's one of Michael Pollen's favorite plants. Check out the way he starts his article called Consider the Castor Bean. Pretty they are not, but a garden can labor under a surfeit of prettiness, be too sweet or cheerful for its own good. Sometimes what's needed in the garden is a hint of vegetal menace, of nature run tropically, luxuriantly, amuck. For this, I recommend the castor bean. While most of us have heard of castor oil, extracted by crushing and processing the seeds, growing the castor bean plant can be a new adventure for gardeners. For most gardeners who grow castor bean as an annual, the castor bean will grow quickly and vigorously, but it will only reach about 6 to 10 feet tall. If you grow castor bean, you need to be aware that the seeds are extremely poisonous. If you have kids around, keep the plants out of reach and eliminate seeds altogether by cutting off the flower spike. As you've probably suspected from the Latin name, the toxin in castor seeds is ricin, one of the world's deadliest natural poisons. Despite their unnerving history, castor beans are still good garden plants. They look beautiful with cannas, bananas, and elephant ears. They make a wonderful backdrop for grasses, and they shine at the back of the flower border, where they create a magnificent screen in no time. Here's today's brevities. It's the birthday of Emily Brontë, who was born on this day in 1818. Brontë wrote, "Reason indeed may oft complain for nature's sad reality, and tell the suffering heart how vain its cherished dreams must always be. And truth may rudely trample down the flowers of fancy newly blown." And it's the birthday of Ellis Rowan, who was a well-known Australian artist and botanical illustrator, born on this day in 1848. In a 1994 newspaper article, Sarah Guest described Rowan this way. She was an explorer. She set off alone at 68 for Papua New Guinea. She dyed her hair red, had a facelift, left her husband. The suggestion is that she was bored, was a much admired, prolific, technically proficient, and joyous painter of plants and birds, and a conservationist. She campaigned to stop the slaughter of birds for the decoration of ladies' hats. In her day, she was known as Australia's brilliant daughter. At one point, Rowan painted 45 of the 62 known species of birds of paradise. Just before she died, the federal parliament in Australia debated whether or not to buy 1,000 of her paintings. The artist Norman Lindsay called her work vulgar. He didn't think wildflowers were worthy subjects of real art. Ultimately, the paintings were purchased for $5,000, and they're now part of Australia's National Library. And it was on this day in 1901 that the General Assembly of Arkansas selected the apple blossom as the floral emblem. The selection was not without controversy. The Floral Emblem Society, led by Miss Ed Barton, had supported the apple blossom, while the Arkansas Federation of Women's Clubs wanted the passion flower. The disagreement became known as the Battle of the Blooms. Barton was a one-woman crusader for the apple blossom. Whenever she mailed anything, she included a pamphlet that not only praised the apple blossom, she also dissed the passion flower, saying it was pretty as a non-native of Arkansas, and saying that it would grow anywhere the farmer's hoe let it touch. Ouch. When the legislature was set to vote, Barton appeared at the Capitol wearing a bright apple red dress, and she pulled a Martha Stewart and personally gifted every lawmaker an apple with a note that said, "These are the results of our beautiful apple blossoms. But what is the result of a passion flower? A dried, shriveled pod." In Unearthed Words, here's one of my favorite sayings from Russel Baker. "Ah, summer, what power you have to make us suffer and like it." And here's one from Bev Adams in her book Mountain Gardening. "Dirty hands, iced tea, garden fragrances thick in the air, and a blanket of color before me. Who could ask for more?" Today's book recommendation is Gertrude Jekyll at Munstead Wood by Martin Wood and Judith Tankard. Gertrude Jekyll was one of the most influential garden designers of the early 20th century. This wonderful book explores her life and the home she created for herself at Munstead. The book is a fantastic collection of all things Jekyll, her writings and photographs, as well as personal accounts from friends and acquaintances. And here's today's garden chore. When you're done harvesting blackberries or boysenberries, it's time to do a little house cleaning. Prune this year's fruit-bearing canes back to the ground and tie up the new green canes to take their place. While you're at it, cut back any diseased or damaged canes. Next, look for anything that's too long or out of control. Thornless varieties make the job of pruning these plants so much easier. Finally, here's something sweet to revive the little botanic spark in your heart. It was on this day in 1932 that Walt Disney premiered his first award-winning animated cartoon. The short was called Flowers and Trees, and it was the first cartoon to use Technicolor. Flowers and Trees was supposed to be a black and white cartoon, but Disney decided it would make the perfect test film for the new Technicolor process. In the movie, the trees and flowers are anthropomorphized. A beautiful lady tree is wooed by a suitor, and they get engaged in the final seconds of the movie. The lady tree is presented with a ring made from a curled-up caterpillar. As the trees embrace, the bellflowers begin to play the wedding march, and the other flowers dance around the hugging trees. The vivid colors of the natural world were the perfect subject for Technicolor. Meanwhile, Mickey Mouse short features were judged to be successful enough. They remained black and white until 1935. Thanks for listening to The Daily Gardener, and remember, for a happy, healthy life, garden every day. The Daily Gardener is produced weekdays in lovely Maple Grove, Minnesota. You can find complete show notes over at thedailygardener.org, and be sure to share the show with your garden friends. You can find The Daily Gardener on all your favorite social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest, and of course, Facebook. While you're over at Facebook, don't forget to join the Daily Gardener community. Just search for these 3 words, Daily Gardener Community. The group will pop right up and then request to join. Finally, I want to thank my team at Podfly Productions, where my fabulous editor is Eric Begay. Have a great day in the garden, and we'll see you tomorrow.